You've driven the RB14 at Shakedown and one day at tests. How's she feel?
Pretty good. Early signs are good. It's always, it's early. Like, it's hard to really say. And I probably said similar things last year. I can't remember, but until you go racing, you never know. But look, my day one in Barcelona was solid. We racked up over 100 laps, so from reliability was good. We were quickest, but the times are whatever.
You've been very coy about times. I've seen you say that a couple of times the last day.
Yeah.
I mean, Red Bull hasn't topped the timesheets at the first tests in years.
Yeah.
You haven't done 100 laps in years. It's good, right?
It is good. No, and that's the thing. I don't want to be negative either, because it is good. But I just don't want to get, I don't know, I don't want to sell anything. You
don't want to get cocky.
Yeah. What's the word? Is it, I'll think of the word, but yeah.
We'll come back.
Yeah, but no, it's all good. It's all good.
What's the biggest difference for you as a driver this year then?
I think what I feel in the car.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously a big talking point is the halo, but you actually don't, once you're in, you don't really see it.
Right.
As silly as that sounds like, because it's in front, but if you kind of picture yourself, if you look at something in front of you, you see it. But if you kind of look, like if I'm looking at you now, I don't really notice it's there. So it's a bit like that. So it's fine. I know it looks ugly, but it's whatever. It's cool.
It's grown on me already in just a couple of days. It does look ugly.
Yeah.
What about a track like Austin, where a bit of undulation? Is there going to be an issue with looking up the track or anything like that?
I think it will be all right. Like, I thought we'd have problems with the start lights, but we did some practice starts on the grid. They let us do them, in practice, in testing at the end of the session. And yeah, the top structure of the halo is quite a lot higher than I think we thought. So the lights sit easily inside it. And I think it's a bit the same, like if we get to Austin Turn 1, I don't think it's actually going to sit as low as we feel. So I think we'll be fine. Do
you walk down the pit lane, the paddock, even at testing, and see the differences? Obviously day one, I'm noticing there's aerodynamics on the halos and stuff like that. Do you look at that and go, why don't we have that?
Not really.
No, doesn't worry you?
Well, I know there's smarter and a lot more people that's their job to do. And I mean, sure, like if I saw something weird or whatever, I'd question it. But there's literally tens of people, if not more, in the team just looking at all little things and studying the other cars as well. And they're all, not only are they studying, but they're also analysing, like, okay, like that's pretty much their wing from last year. So we know that's not their real race wing. So they're kind of not showing their cards yet. And so there's already all that going on. It's quite fun, but I don't really focus too much.
So pretty big changes on the grid this year. I look at it and you think McLaren, for example. I think most people believe that last year they had a pretty rock solid aerodynamic car with a rubbish engine. So given they've got a Renault this year, are they a genuine threat this year, do you think?
They could be. Like, time will tell. I think again, I'm guessing, obviously I didn't drive their car, I don't know, but I think their chassis wasn't bad. I would say if I had to say, I would bet ours was better at the end of last year. So I still don't think their chassis was as good as ours, but sure, if they had maybe the Renault in, they would have been closer up. So I think if they've improved their chassis from last year and now with the Renault, they could be hunting for some top fives. I'm not sure if they're a podium car yet, but they could be getting closer.
So last year was 6 retirements, 8 podiums, great win in Baku.
Well done, Baku.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, you must watch that. I hope you watch that back regularly.
Yeah.
It's a pretty cracking pass.
Yeah, I do.
What's the goal for 2018?
I mean, look, the obvious ones, why I'm here is to be world champion, but without stating the obvious, which is very obvious, I want to be in the fight. I want to be there at the end. Like, I've had, 2014 was a breakthrough year, 16 was a good one. There was some highs last year, but even in the really, really good years, I've never been in the championship hunt. I've won races and done good things, but we've never been in the fight. So I just want a car that's capable of taking me to that fight and then leave it with me and I'll take care of the rest.
Kind of the same way Mark did 2010.
Yep.
Going into Abu Dhabi, 4 people could win. You want to be there.
Yeah, and mate, the more the merrier. Like, sure, it's more intense and it'd be nice to have it wrapped up, 3 races to go. Yeah. But just to be in that fight. And if, the likes of McLaren are in that fight as well, honestly, the more the merrier. I think having that and having having also other drivers that could take points away from, you know, others, and yeah, that would be cool. So come Abu Dhabi.
So getting back to how does the car feel this year?
Yeah, I didn't really answer that.
No,
I talked about the halo.
You did. You talked about the halo, but do you notice a difference? Does it feel like you've got that? I mean, topping the timesheets. Well, let's not talk about times, but that's a good feeling, and it's a rare thing at this stage of the season. Do you get the feeling already that it could be a much more race-winning car?
Yeah, I think the first impressions certainly were good, and I don't think you know if you've got a race-winning car on the first day, but you know if you've got a bit of a dog.
Right.
And I know I don't have a dog, so that's good. And yeah, you know, like it was doing some good things. Like the rear is powerful in the F1. You know, obviously they're rear-wheel drive, but a lot of the downforce in that is produced at the rear, and a lot of your grip and lap time comes from that. And first impressions was we had a pretty good rear. You know, I could get on the throttle quite hard and aggressive. So yeah, the signs are there that we got a decent vehicle.
So what are you going to do in 2018 to fight harder? I think I read that you talked about you want to be different, you want to do differently. So how do you change?
Yeah, I think just it's not so much. I mean, obviously keep the good things. You know, obviously keep the intensity on race day and keep kind of taking that. Let's say the honey badger approach.
Yeah.
I mean, that's been working for me the last few years for sure, and the intensity is what I love. So, you know, keep all that, but just clean up some little things. And I never want to get complacent, you know, and you can find yourself. I mean, I've been with a team a few years now, and I know everyone, and in a way, it can be easy just to walk into work every day and yep, all right, let's go, let's do it. And I think I've always been pretty relaxed about my approach, but I don't want the relaxed to turn into complacent. So just make sure I'm staying ahead of the curve, and you know, what worked 3 months ago might not work today. So just try and keep kind of evolving and just do my homework and make sure I'm staying ahead.
If Max is the ultimate benchmark because your teammate is, because he's got the same car, what matters to you more? Is it more race wins and more points, or is it qualifying? Because I feel like the focus is always on, I out-qualified him X number of times.
Yeah.
But you smashed him in the championship, so what's more important to you?
I mean, ultimately the championship. Like, if I was to win and he was to get second, but he out-qualified me, I couldn't care. I mean, well, I lie. There'd be a small part of me that cared, but very small part if I'd won the title. But yeah, I mean, I think it's in our nature. Like, we're competitors, and you kind of never satisfied until you're perfect. And I don't think we'll probably ever be perfect, but you know, getting up on the qualifying head-to-head and on the races is ideal, as opposed to just one or the other. So yeah, I'll make sure I'm ticking both boxes. I'll sleep better. I'm
assuming it's obvious, but the performance of the car has to have a direct impact on your plans for 2019?
Yeah, absolutely. That's the biggest thing for me right now. I mean, if I can be in a winning car, then that's like the first that's my first objective.
Yep.
So everyone's like, oh, are you going to stay at Red Bull, or what are you going to do? And I kind of said, in a way, it's pretty simple. Like, if we go out and win the world title this year, then I'm not leaving Red Bull. So the performance, long story short, the performance will dictate, I think, at least my preference. Will I get my wish or whatever I end up doing? I don't know, but yeah.
I've never been involved in contract negotiations like I'm sure you need to be, but it must be difficult because you have to set a time. So how far into the season do you give the performance? Because it feels like, especially in the last couple of years, the car has come good. So, I mean, at what point of the season, how far into the season do you start making that judgment? Obviously, you don't make a final decision, but when does that judgment start to come in?
I think once you start racing, obviously you get an idea, but then, you know, even once you do Melbourne and probably the first couple races, it's still quite fresh, and you're still kind of bringing new parts on the car. So yeah, I mean, I would say you want to get a handful of races in. So probably once the real European season starts, like mid-May, around then, you get an idea. Yeah, when you come back here. So, but also you want to talk contracts and that after a good race. So everyone only remembers the last race. So whichever one I can try and win, then I'll get on the phone straight away. But no, I haven't set a time. Like, honestly, I've answered a lot of contract questions already, and I'm trying to answer them differently because I just don't want to sound boring, but I really don't have a real answer.
Yeah, no, I think that's completely fair. So I'm curious, after race weekend, how does Daniel Ricciardo reflect on a race? Do you tape every race and watch them all back light to light, or light to flag, or do you just go and hear what bits were big and watch those bits back?
Good question. It varies, I guess. I mean, I'll definitely, a lot of the time I'm actually in the simulator straight after the race on the Monday or the Tuesday. So during the simulator session, we'll put some time aside to analyse the weekend as well. So yeah, we do some of it directly after the race. We have the engineering meeting, like the race summary and the weekend summary. So that we kind of spend probably 90 minutes on the Sunday evening already kind of analysing it. Mm-hmm. And then maybe the Monday or the Tuesday in the sim. If I'm not in the sim, if I'm at home, I'll most likely watch like a race replay. And then I've got like a lot of data at my disposal and sector times and this and that, which I can pick apart. So yeah, it depends. I mean, some weekends I'll honestly know what I did right, what I didn't. And it's kind of so clear in my mind that I don't feel I need to spend that much time.
What about the others though? There's, 19 other cars out there, so to see how the others ran their strategy, to see how the others came undone, or those passes everyone's talking about, you watch the races back to see those things, or it's just not relevant?
I would, let's say 9 times out of 10, I'd rewatch the race to see if I could pick up something. And even, like obviously, normally our competitors are the front runners. Obviously we're running towards the front, but you don't want to overlook some things that happen in the midfield as well, because maybe a driver or a team tried a good strategy. So, and it's good to then question my team, what they thought of that. So, but I guess I don't really have a set structure up until now, where I'm like, okay, Monday 9 a.m. I watch the race and then I analyse it, but I will do some form of that.
So new owners for Formula One last year, Liberty Media. Did you notice anything during the year, or did you notice anything towards the end of the year, or even now? Has it made a difference for you as a driver?
I mean, the racing stuff, no, in terms of what we're doing in the car. But I think they did some cool things, like the F1 paddock, like as they call it, the pits in a way. It's a lot of the time you're connected to a team. Like you can really only enter the paddock if you got a pass from a team. So then, if my friends or if we got guests, they're normally at Red Bull the whole time, and that's where they are, and then guests of Ferrari are there. So I think at times you could find there's probably a lot of cool people within the paddock, but they're all kind of separated in a way. So they've tried to, they've put like a bit of a bar, a bit of a social area in the paddock. They've tried to get some music and a bit more of a common space. Is that the word? Communal? Also, I don't know,
common
something
words.
Like that. So where people can kind of mingle and actually interact, and just to create a bit more energy in the pits and in the paddock, because it's I went to like a MotoGP paddock a few years ago and it was chaotic. Probably too much that way, but there was certainly some energy in there, which I think Liberty's trying to enhance, which is cool.
What do you think of the no grid girl decision?
I feared this question. No comment. Okay. I'll dig a hole for myself if I get into it. So, I'm just gonna leave that one out. Yeah.
So then Bernie came out this week and started talking about Formula One going electric. Thoughts?
That's a first I've heard.
Oh, okay.
I don't read much.
Oh, okay. I'm thinking maybe I had some dream, but apparently he says that for the 2021 we should embrace the future and go fully electric.
Oh.
Great.
There's already Formula E. And, hats off to Formula E. I think they've done quite well, in the few years they've had. And they're doing all right. But I think that's that. And F1's this. And, Look, what I remember as a kid, like the first thing you think about with F1, even I think before you think about the speed, is the noise. Yeah. And the noise creates the speed. So I watched an onboard a few days ago I saw on YouTube. I think it was maybe a V10, so an onboard of an F1. And I turned the noise off and I watched and I was like, he's actually going pretty slow. Like, I can't remember what track it was, but I was picturing myself now And I was like, our cars now are a lot quicker.
Yeah.
But I turned the volume on and I was like, it just sounds fast and it looks faster because of the sound. So we need the sound to create the atmosphere. So yeah.
Have you driven an electric car on the road? Like a Tesla or
Great question. I got driven in a Tesla once. So yeah, I have been in one, but I haven't driven it myself.
Pretty epic feeling, the acceleration, but acceleration is not everything.
They're impressive. Don't get me wrong. They are super impressive, and unless we go full electric, but put some sweet subwoofers out the back, blasting some V10 noises. I don't know, but to go silent, I just think it would certainly lack the atmosphere, and I really feel you'd see a quick drop in numbers in fans, because that's part of the experience.
Totally. Last year when we talked about cars from your childhood, I think you talked about the Ferrari F40 being, an iconic car. Were you a Holden or a Ford family?
Holden.
So then have you...
I don't want to say we weren't full bogans, it wasn't like Holden or nothing, but as a kid, for whatever reason, I just preferred the Holden and the Ford, yeah.
So have you seen, obviously Aussie cars are dead, there's not making cars in Australia anymore. Have you seen the controversy, the hype around the new Commodore, which is not rear-wheel drive and not available as a V8?
Have not, no.
Right. So do you think a Commodore can exist if it's not a V8 and it's not a rear-wheel drive? It's a massive drama back home.
Yeah, no, I hear you. It's hard to picture.
Yeah.
It's hard to picture.
Picture an Opel Insignia. That's what it is.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm so torn because I am, it's hard because I'm a race car driver talking about trying to make things better, but some things, look, we'll always be, is the word nostalgic? To things that we remember from the past, so, but yeah, the Commodore is a V8.
You obviously follow motorsports around the world, you love your NASCAR, I think, Dale.
Yeah.
And co. Do you see or keep an eye on what's happening at supercars back home?
I try and keep up, sure. I got some friends that race, and I think the racing is good. So if I can catch some replays or something, I still enjoy watching racing, even if I don't read a whole lot. I still enjoy watching it for sure. But it's hard to keep up. But I do try and keep up with supercars, with NASCAR, with the Supercross. Yeah, there's a few motorsports.
You mentioned sim earlier. A lot of my audience love their tech. I'm a tech guy. I can't imagine the sim. I've got a great play seat at home, the whole kit with PlayStation, but clearly that's nothing like what you do. How realistic is it? What's the experience like? Is there nauseous? I mean, describe the sim experience to me.
Yeah, it can be. Some people haven't got on well with it,
right.
As far as the nausea goes. So it's pretty intense. Look, I'll put it in simple terms, I'll try and create a percentage. So F1 car, that's 100%, you go drive it, that's the real thing. Our sim, I would put somewhere around 85%.
Wow.
And I would put, a PlayStation kind of sim at maybe 20, 15, 20%. So it's pretty impressive from that scope.
Yeah. Because I think it's hard for us as PlayStation drivers to appreciate that a new part can be designed by the team, put onto a virtual car, and you can work out whether it's different or whether it's going to work.
Yeah, it's hectic.
But it can, right?
Yeah, it blows my mind. That's really what we use the sim for. It's cool for learning new tracks and whatever, but it's really for the team to develop the car and try things, and if it looks good, all right, they'll call up the workshop next door and say, boys, build that. So, it's impressive. It's in a big dark room, and it's like in a cinema, like in a theater. And I can't describe too much about it, but I mean, you're sitting in a full size, pretty much cockpit, and you've got all it's not just a screen in front of you, you've got vision everywhere, and it feels pretty real. Yeah. And the graphics are pretty amazing.
You strike me from everything I've ever watched as a easygoing, fun bloke who probably loves a bit of a stitch up. Do you get
classic stitch up?
Yeah. Do you get stitched up much in the paddock, or is it just your mates that are kind of that way orientated?
I don't think I get stitched up too much, but I don't know. Maybe my life's a stitch up.
Perpetrator?
It's fun. Yeah, I couldn't tell you what though, but
Yeah.
I just like being a bit of an idiot and having some fun. But I'm also careful with, like, if I was to do a prank, I know that it's going to be returned, so I'm never going to deliver something which I can't take myself. So
Yeah, right.
but I just enjoy being a bit of a clown, I guess.
You clearly have a lot of fun making vids with your mates in the US. You spend a lot of time in the States. Do you see America as somewhere, you must love it, do you see it as somewhere that you could live?
I could definitely spend time there. You know, I think for me, firstly, home will always be home. Like Oz is Oz to me, and I love getting back to Oz. You know, especially Christmas time when it's summer and that. I struggled leaving this year. I really did.
You mentioned that in an Instagram video.
Yeah.
You made a kind of joke about not going back to Europe. What was that about?
Well, I mean, I'm like leaving in peak season. You know, it's summer, it's awesome, and I'm going back to like the cold winter, and it's tough because like you go from a massive high, and for me, like I do struggle with the cold. Like February is definitely my toughest month of the year as far as my personal happiness. So I go from like December, January, which is awesome, to that. So I definitely love home, and I'm certainly connected to it, and obviously my friends and family there. And I think with the States, what I found, you know, particularly California, is there's a lot of similarities to home, but it's something still new for me, and it's also a real escape, because I do go home, and my name is a lot bigger in Australia than it is in America, for starters, but even just family alone, like it is hard to get some real quiet time. So the States is a good place. Yeah, exactly. And just, it's not a bad thing, but you just have to be a bit selective where you go as well. If you don't want, you know, let's say attention. And
sometimes you might want it though.
Funnily enough, I don't really crave the attention. People might say I'm full of crap because I do silly videos or whatever all the time, but I could happily go under the radar all the time. But yeah, the States it's kind of home. It's got everything home really has, but without the extra, I don't know. It's not F1, you know, no one cares about F1 at the moment in California, for example, so I can just do my thing and really feel I'm away from it when I need to switch off.
I made the mistake of asking people what they would want to ask you if they had the chance. Most of it was rubbish, you know, can I drive your car, where are you going to race next year, and those kind of things.
Okay.
But there was someone that asked the question about the driver's impact on performance of a car. Think back to, like, I think of the early days of Senna in a McLaren, or even earlier than that, just feels like he was the driver. He was the one that was creating the speed. Let's call it 70% driver, 30% car, or maybe less. What percentage is it today? Like, you know, the difference that a driver can genuinely make to a car. Daniel Ricciardo, amazing driver. If you jumped in something lower down the grid, how much difference into percentage-wise do you think you could make?
Percentage, it's hard. Like,
or time?
I'll say like, I don't know, call it 50-50. But what I'm 100% sure of is no driver will hop in, whatever year it is, the back running car. So I feel bad if I say a team, but without disrespect, I'll call it a back running car, but whatever, the Sauber of last year, for example, wasn't that fast. It's, you know, you don't have to be Einstein, but Lewis, okay, I'll use Lewis as an example. He won the world title, but he's not going to get the Sauber in victory lane, you know, so the machine is still super important, but I mean, the cars don't have, like, there's no electronics, so there's no traction control, there's no nothing, so the driver is doing all the driving, 100%. And you definitely still separate. I still feel like the top will rise, and whether you're in a small team, you'll find your way into a big team and get your shot. Yeah. But call it 50-50. Yeah.
A couple of things. You mentioned silly videos you make. My good mate Greg Rust, who you might know, has clearly been watching your videos online. Wanted to know who's your American accent coach, or are you self-taught?
Oh.
What's doing with your American accent?
It's funny. So no one taught me, and I don't know if I should be proud or not, but thanks, Rusty. I think I did it, last year in Austin. No, so 2016 in Austin. Yeah. I honestly didn't plan it, nothing. I just got asked something, and I think I'd done a whole day of media, and I was kind of just a bit over it by that stage, so I just thought I'm just going to speak American. And I kind of liked it. So every now and then I'll throw in some. Everyone says it sounds like Forrest Gump, so I don't know. But I just kind of taught myself. So if that's something to be proud of, then
So be it. Pat
well
yourself on
done,
the back.
Daniel. Well done.
Quick fire thing. Guilty pleasure. Non-F1 related. Guilty pleasure.
I guess it's food, right? Or not?
It can be
Chocolate?
food.
or yeah.
It's a lame answer.
Ice cream. Yeah. All right. Let's go. Let's get creative. Probably the last 2 years, I've really discovered fried chicken burgers.
Wow.
Yeah, and man, like if I'm going for a cheat day and I want savory pleasure, like filthy fried chicken. But when I say filthy, like not takeaway,
Yep.
like from a decent restaurant, but dirty, greasy, soggy, fried chicken burger. Yeah.
Best movie of all time.
Man, there's. All right, Dumb and Dumber. That's absolutely up there.
Wow.
Dumb and Dumber.
Okay.
Yeah, hands down. I'll say one more. I like using this one because it's left of field. No, I've never heard anyone say it. Friday Night Lights. Billy
Okay.
Bob Thornton, American football one. I really like the soundtrack, and it was filmed a little bit differently. The movie. I'm not a director. I don't
Cinematography,
know. Yeah, the cinematography was done kind of different. It kind of followed a few characters, and it was interesting. I remember watching it, and because it wasn't the happy ending either,
Yeah.
but it still was powerful. So I like that.
Is there a movie you could think that they should make a sequel of?
Oh, that's a great question. Most of the ones I like, they did sequels.
Dumb and Dumber. They've done.
Yeah. Ace Ventura. That's Jim. I'm a fan of Jim Carrey, I guess. Yeah, I'll come back to that.
Apple Music or Spotify, or are you still sticking with that whole iPod thing?
All right, so there's been a breakthrough in my life.
Okay.
I reckon less than a month ago, or probably 3 weeks ago, I signed up to Spotify.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've now got music on my phone. But I know.
Welcome to 2007.
I know, but I still miss. I mean, I got my iPod,
Yeah.
and I still want to run it as much as I can.
Okay.
But actually, Spotify's been good. I use SoundCloud as well. I like SoundCloud for like the under. Yeah.
'cause
So you just looked at me.
You're
So
looking for stuff that no one
yeah,
else is listening
exactly.
to.
I like discovering new stuff and then telling people about it. But just telling cool people.
Well, okay. I won't get any, but you could share a playlist now. You see,
Yeah.
this is social. You can share a playlist, a Spotify playlist. You don't care with sharing.
Nah.
people.
No, it's cool. I like going to a place or something. It's like, oh, Dan, you put your music on, and everyone's like, oh, like that's a good song. And you see everyone start shazamming. I'm like, whatever.
Last show you binged on Netflix, or I'm assuming you don't have Stan.
Actually, Perth boy, Sam Worthington.
Yeah.
Sam Worthington, yeah. Avatar. Sam Worthington, that's his name. Why doesn't that sound right? Yeah. I watched Unabomber, Manhunt.
Excellent show.
Really good.
Only like 6 episodes.
Yeah, it wasn't long, but really good. So I did that, and The Sinner, Jessica Biel. She's cute. Yeah, that was good.
Your sponsor's Hisense are also the official TV of the FIFA World Cup. How far are the Socceroos going to go in Russia?
Further than Italy.
Two final
I can't
things.
believe they're not in there.
Yeah.
Is it Holland as well?
Yeah,
It's like crazy.
it's pretty full on. So
Yeah, but no,
semis?
hopefully they go well. Oh yeah,
Come on, make a call.
I'll have a semi if they get to the semis.
Dream garage. 3 things you put in your dream garage. Vintage, classic, hot rod, supercar, whatever.
Ferrari 250 short wheelbase. So that's an old car. It's worth in excess of 10 million now. So
Yeah.
it's a serious car. Modern car, I would go with the Aston Martin Valkyrie. And yeah, I'd go an Aussie muscle car in there. Throw an Aussie muscle car in there. You choose for me, it's all right.
Oh, it's going to be a Holden, obviously.
Yeah.
You're a Holden man.
So that'd be that's very diverse. So yeah, got a bit of everything.
When they make a movie about Daniel Ricciardo, who's going to play you and how will it end?
Who would play me? It depends if we're going like serious or not. If we're going not serious, probably, I don't know about now, at least back then, probably Adam Sandler. Otherwise, Chris Hemsworth did well in old What's it called? Rush.
Yeah, Rush.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I don't know if he's as good looking as me though, but he melts women's hearts, doesn't he, old Chris? I met him in Monaco. Good guy. How would it end? You know what? I'm going to get deep here, and I'm going to say, not with a stereotypical ending of me holding a world championship trophy. I would want it to end beyond that, because I would like to think that that wasn't all I achieved in life, if that makes sense. Just thought I'd go a bit.
Thanks, mate.
3 layers under.
Solid, very deep. Thanks for your time.
No worries.
This is EFTM, everything for the man.